All right. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers.
We are here. And as you notice, we are down one particular person who is having internet issues. What? Mountain
We have one less mark.
One less mark. One less mark. So we are gearing up though, because it is about to be Squonkapalooza. We are in our first episode of the amazing August of Antiquities. And so we have Squonkapalooza coming up on the 10th and other really fun things. So you got to follow us on all the socials and stuff, and you can see where we're all going to be. But the cool thing about Squonkapalooza, for those that are paying attention, is that all of the Erie Travels team, including Bo, who is helping me tonight, will be there. And that is a rarity. So absolutely come out and see us in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And it's one day, August 10th. But today, Mark is having internet issues. We had some massive storms up here in North Carolina, and that's made his internet unstable to say the least. But that should all be fixed here shortly. But we are moving forward anyway. Why? Because we are rock stars here at Erie Travels. And with that said, we are going to bring on our amazing guest tonight because we just got back from the Bigfoot Festival, Smoky Mountain Bigfoot, and I want to talk about Bigfoot. So joining us is boom, 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 the amazing Rob Effler.
Hi, guys.
Hello,
Hi, Rob.
Welcome. So me and Mark went to Smoky Mountain Bigfoot, which got me wanting to talk about Bigfoot. So I'm excited that you're here.
Awesome.
Will you tell the wonderful travelers at home a little bit about you?
Well, I'm 54-year-old. Spent about 25 years of my life off and on, not consecutively, in law enforcement and security. Started Go Dark Paranormal Investigations in 2007. In 2019, I had my first Bigfoot encounter. Last year, May of 2023, George Lunsford and myself, we joined forces and created NCI Podcast and Research Team. NCI stands for North Carolina Investigates. We investigate everything. Cryptids, ghosts, hauntings, lost civilizations, UFOs, you name it, even historical figures like Hitler, Stalin, Jim Jones, all the serial killers. We'll discuss and talk about it all. And in 2017, I joined John Bruner's team out of McDowell County, North Carolina, Bigfoot 911, and we've been having a ball, been having a blast ever since. And I didn't think for 1 minute when I joined all this and started this that I'd have as much fun as I'm having right now. I mean, everything is very informative, very educational. I mean, yeah, we cut up and carry on and act a fool at times, but, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, what's the point in being in the middle of it?
No, that's true. And what's really, one of the things I love about what you just said, because you discussed like all the things that we talk about on our show too, is that I've met, now that I've been in this world with Mark for a bit here, I've met so many people that are like, oh yeah, Bigfoot is real, but I don't believe in ghosts. And this, but I don't believe in that. And like UFOs, yeah, no, aliens are real, but there's no such thing as cryptids and monsters and ghosts. And I always think it's really funny because I'm like, how can you believe in this one thing and that all these other things are not even a possibility, right? Like,
well, to be quite honest, if somebody would have asked me 20 years ago about Bigfoot, I would have told them basically what everybody else that's a cryptozoologist or, just, what we call a weekend warrior researcher that goes out whenever they get the chance and opportunity. If somebody would have asked me about Bigfoot 20 years ago, I'd have said, guys, that was out there at California. That creature stays out there in the Pacific Northwest. I really truly don't see, anything about why I wanted to be over here on the East Coast. But after talking to some individuals, doing a little bit of research, and having my own encounters in places that just behooved me, I was kind of like outstanded by my God, this creature is here, and seeing the sign and the footprints and actual the creature itself. I was like, wow, it's you don't never know where it's going to turn up.
No, it's true. And so you said you started back in 2007. What got you into all this to begin with? What was the catalyst?
Well, are you ready to laugh?
Yes, I think so.
We're always ready to laugh.
This is the gospel truth, and I'm not lying. What got me into paranormal investigations? I did the one thing my grandma told me to never to do. I pissed a witch off.
I'm sorry.
No joke. I lost everything in the world that I had. I lost my job, lost every dollar in my pocket, lost my home, lost all my friends. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on. Then I was talking to some people online about it. And this one lady came in, and I thought, dang, you look awful familiar. Come to find it out, I went to school with her, and I didn't know it. She told me, she said, I think I know exactly what your problem is. And I said, okay. I said, if you don't mind, I said, enlighten me. I said, because I'm just, sitting here plumb dumbfounded because I didn't have a clue as what was going on. Unbeknownst to me, she was a witch herself.
Oh.
So she gave me the tools, told me what books to get. And the strange part about it was when I went to the New Age section in these bookstores to look for these books, I really and truly didn't have to look for the title. I felt like I was drawn to them.
Oh.
Well, I studied and under her, and I refound an old friend of mine. She was a Native American medicine woman. She is part Sioux and part Blackfoot.
Okay.
Well, she got to teaching me some of the native ways of being a medicine person and being a mystic and everything. And she, between the other lady, which is now deceased, that was the witch that I went to school with, and the Native American medicine woman, they both told me the same thing. They said, youngin', the only way that you're going to be able to put things back into perspective, we know you don't exactly, want to or don't exactly believe in it, but you're going to have to fight fire with fire. You're going to have to find out who the witch was, which I did. I'm not going to name no names, but maybe today she's sitting on her front porch somewhere, wringing her hands and wondering what in the name of God happened.
I see. So, like, more fire than the fire that started. But do you know, did you figure out what the catalyst was that brought that upon you out of curiosity, or just how to resolve it?
Well, I found out both.
Oh, well.
What got it started was, you're going to laugh at this again, but this is the God's honest gospel truth. She wanted me to go out with her. And I said no, because I mean, not being mean or obscene or being downright rude. She wasn't really and truly at the time, the type of person that I really and truly wanted to be around. I was rambunctious. I wasn't no saint, and evidently she had it in her head if she couldn't have me, nobody else could either.
Wow. Well, you see the movie Practical Magic and wonder if that works, folks. And the answer is yes. But
absolutely.
That doesn't
so does the movie The Craft.
Yeah. So the end result, though, as I stated on previous podcasts, it doesn't work the one way you want it to, which is try to make the person fall in love with you. So, no, that's interesting. Okay.
I mean, Erica, we had that episode recently. I don't know if it's out yet or coming out soon, where you say Love spells and time spells are a no-go because those are bigger than you.
Oh,
So
yeah.
don't mess with those things.
Yes, that's my philosophy. I think if you tried it, because we had somebody ask, it was on a listener thing about being able to, can we help them find somebody to do a time travel spell? And I was like, no, we're not doing that. Let's not do that. That sounds like a terrible plan. So,
But the bottom line end result though was after everything in the world that I'd been through and everything that I'd seen that, she sent demons and first one thing and another, and I had to deal with that. Uh, After everything settled and, everything went back to normal, I got sitting there studying one day and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to sit back in good conscience and good faith and stand back and watch other people go through the same thing. So I started doing paranormal research because I kind of figured, it sort of tied in together.
yeah.
Well, when I started doing, the actual ghost hunts and everything, it got to being, very interesting. The history of the places that we went and everything else. I mean, it's just, I formed a team. We done great, and then, team sort of, everybody's got their own devices in life, whether it be, they something other comes, more important, like family or jobs or something like that. And I don't begrudge those people, and I don't hold anything to them. Right now, as it stands, I've only got 4 on Go Dark Paranormal Investigations, but they've also migrated over to NCI, which is North Carolina Investigates, and it kind of works out real well. And then when I met up in 2017 with John Bruner on Bigfoot, it's just like it opened a whole new door and a whole new world, and it's just amazing. I mean, the amount of knowledge that's out there and the type of people, you run into people. That's just like with me and George. George and I had talked for about a year and a half on Facebook through Messenger, and on stuff that we had posted, whether it be cryptid wise, whether it be political or what have you, and we'd never met in person. And this was what really and truly just flat out tickled me to death. George and I met in Burnsville at the conference that Dr. John Stamey was having in Burnsville, North Carolina, back in May of 2023. Well, George and I stood there and talked for about 10 minutes. And it was exactly like George and I had known one another for 20 years. We was like long lost brothers. Well, I mean, that was the connection that we had, and we got further talking, and everything just went barnstorm, and everything's going great. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. I've got a great group of guys. We've got Harley Murphy not Harley Murphy, confounded, bless his heart. Poor old Harley Murphy is a friend of mine. He must be thinking about me. He's deceased now. Harley Owens from East Tennessee. We've got Tim Dills from Dirty South Squatching over around Franklin. Tim's a wonderful guy. You couldn't ask for no better. Tim would give you the shirt off his back if you thought you needed it, and the last dime in his pocket if you thought you needed it. George, he's the brother I never had. Harley's the little brother I never had. And we've got a producer for NCI. Bless his heart, he's got stage 4 cancer, and he's having a real rough go and can't really and truly, produce our podcast like he needs to. Eric Kuyar from Belmont, South Carolina, and we just watch one another's back. And I mean, it's just became one big brotherhood.
I think that's amazing. We've had Tim Dills on the podcast because I met him. Trying to remember where I met him because so many.
You probably met him down there in Dillard, Georgia.
It's entirely possible. Yes, I think that's possible. But
I think that's where I met you at.
Yes. See, look, it all comes together.
Uh-huh.
What was amazing to me in talking. First of all, I love that you guys have the community that you have, because I think having any sort of opposing forces or whatever, not that you have to agree on every single thing, but we all have to work together to get to the truths that exist and the research that's necessary to really prove a lot of this stuff in a larger capacity, right? Because even talking with Tim and his encounters, it was so fascinating. I'm going to ask you about your Bigfoot encounter, because his was so casual, as if like, I'm just waiting for Bob up the mountain to come say hi. And, that's how he talked about it. And I was like, it was so nice hearing from somebody that it wasn't like a lot of like weird pressure and stuff. And so finding people like that, I think, is amazing, right?
Oh yeah, that's what us guys are. There's a few things we don't exactly agree on. We'll stand there and look at one another and scratch our head and go, "Okay, do you care to explain that and bring that down just a notch?" And then, even if we don't agree with it, we'll go, "Well, we'll think outside the box. We'll set that over to the side. If it fits in the puzzle, we'll use it. If it don't fit, it'll fit somewhere else."
I think I often do that with Mark, to be honest. He says stuff and I'm like, okay, slow down. I don't even know where you're going with this. But let's talk about Bigfoot with you, because having an experience, it's very interesting that you didn't come at this from the cryptid side. You came at this from the paranormal, the witchcraft side of this situation, right, and all of that. And then it sounds like you went into haunting. But when did Bigfoot enter the equation for you?
Well, in 2012, somebody mentioned Bigfoot, around McDowell County and the Madison County areas. Well, I've got some kinfolk that lives over in Madison County, and I'm sitting there scratching my head, and I ran it by Go Dark Paranormal. I said, "Guys, would you like to do some Bigfoot hunting?" Well, naturally, I got the confused dog look, and they was looking at me like I had 4 heads. I said, if y'all don't want to, I said, you can stay on the ghost end of it. I said, I don't care. I said, I'm going to dip my feet in the water. I said, and we'll see what happens. And when I got talking to some of my cousins out there in Madison County, they said, yeah, there's some strange things going on, but we not 110% for sure what it is. Well, I never did get the opportunity to get into the area, and get them to show me what was what and which was which. And between jobs and this, that, and the other, one thing overtook another, and it just, it didn't pan out for me to wind up in Madison County on any investigations. Well, in 2019, the first encounter I had, I was with John's son, Brad, and we had his brother, Nick. Brad said, do you know any places we can go to see if anything, might hold enough clout to warrant a nighttime investigation, see if we can find any tree twist or any footprints or, any structures or anything like that. And I said, there's this one area that's been bugging me since I was a kid. He said, what's in there? I said, I have no idea. I said, I've never been. He said, well, let's just go. Well, this was about November the 19th of 2019. If I'm not bad fooled, I think it was the Monday before gun season started the following Monday.
Okay.
Yeah,
won't be shot at. I like that. I like that theory.
Well, it's always been practice from since I was growing up. I've been in the woods, been fishing and everything else since I was big enough to hold a pole or hold a gun, either one. And Daddy always taught me, he said, don't be a jerk and be in the woods doing something other that you're not supposed to be doing while gun season's going on or bow season's going on. There's a good possibility, you could get hurt or get killed. And I've been trying to practice that my whole entire life. And I thought, yeah, we'll wait, And I thought, a week before season, if anybody is in there and has a deer stand and a bait pile,
Yeah.
in 2 or 3 days the scent will be gone. Critters go back to normal. Well, we got a late start, and in November, the sun sets pretty early in the afternoon. We go about 2 miles back in the woods. Unbeknownst to us, we didn't have a flashlight.
Oh, okay, really roughing it. Okay, you're just winging
Yeah,
it.
we didn't have a flashlight. We didn't figure that out until after we saw what we saw. Well, we were standing there on this little old ridge on this trail looking around, and Nick hollered and said, "Guys, what is this?" I said, "What you got, Nick?" Go over there, and there's a top missing out of a pine tree. Now, the pine tree was about the size of a soda can and about 4.5 to 5 feet off the ground. Top's gone.
Oh.
So we're standing there looking at the top, trying to figure out where it went. It was nowhere to be found. Well, by that time, it was probably around about 3:30, 15 minutes to 4 in the afternoon. Sun's starting to go down. Brad, Nick, and myself, we were in the shadow line. All right, high up on the ridge, you could still see sunlight. Well, I saw something other glisten out of the corner of my eye, and I just happened to turn my head and look, and there's a big old poplar or either a maple log. Looked like it's probably maybe 12, 14 inches around, had laid over, and the upper end was right next to a laurel thicket. I seen something other glisten out of the corner of my eye, and I thought, what in the world is that? By the time I looked, I seen something other take off running on the feet. So I go to elbowing Brad because he's standing right next to me because he's talking to his brother. I said, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. I said, look yonder. And he turned around and he said, oh, crap. There it went across the log, head first into a laurel thicket, just like a house cat. Never made a sound. It looked like a size of between a 5 to an 8-year-old kid, light blonde in color, from the top of its head to the end of its toes. I'm not sure at the distance. I know it was probably over 100 yards out. I didn't get to see no facial features. I didn't get to see, what skin color it was. But I do know that was not nobody in a suit.
Wow.
Nobody knew we were in there, and we were 2 miles from the truck.
So
in any direction that you wanted to go, you were 2 miles from the truck.
So do you think it was a juvenile?
It had to have been. Had to have been.
Wow.
Brad and I was standing there, plumb dumbfounded, and I see something other else move in the same vicinity where this juvenile came from. So I turn around and look, and there's something other over there next to a big old oak, about 4 foot wide, like a sheet of plywood with a head stuck on it, light brown in color. The only thing I could see was from the waist up. Well, it just backed up against that tree, slunk straight down into that laurel thicket, never made a sound, disappeared. So me and Brad standing there scratching her head, and I said, Nick, did you see that? And Nick's almost got to Mel Tillis.
Uh-oh, did he freeze on us? Are we frozen? Are we frozen, Bo?
I think we're frozen.
We're frozen mid-story.
Oh,
How
no.
is that possible?
Well,
we were.
There.
Internet's been messed with again, I guess.
No, that's okay. That happens. Technology. Obviously, Mark needs to make penance to whatever internet gods he pissed off to make this happen. So that's all I'm going to say.
Don't go back. We had the
Yeah.
same thing last night happen to us when we was recording last night, and every time we'd mention the MIBs, our internet would go plumb hog screwy.
Okay, don't mention them. We already have our own problems with those guys.
We already have our own Men in Black we need to not talk about.
Yes, no, gosh. But so did Nick see, because you cut out, did Nick see it?
Yeah, he saw both of them. He was just standing there, plumb dumbstruck. Had a bad case of the Meltilus disease. He couldn't have said nothing if he'd have wanted to.
Oh, wow. So,
And Brad looked at me and he said, "Well, let's go after him." I looked at him. I said, "Brad, I hate to break your heart, buddy." He said, "Why is that?" I said, "It's steeper than a horse's face on either side where we're at in this V." I said, we're losing daylight. Do we have flashlights?" He got to fumbling around in the pack and he said, "Crap, forgot mine in the truck." And I said, "Yeah, you're not the only one." I said, "I just now realized I'd forgot mine too." I said, "That hill's so steep." I said, "The leaves is so slick." I said, we'd never make it up there where there's at." I asked him, I said, "Well, do you have your wood knocking stick?" He said, "Oh yeah." He said, "I've got that." And I said, "Step up yonder," I said, "to that hickory," I said, "and give it a rap and see what happens." So he does about 3 knocks on that hickory, which was about 25 feet in front of us. 85 yards up the hill from where the juvenile went into the laurel thicket, we got 3 tree knocks back.
wow. Yeah, that was them going, "Yeah, no, we're still here."
And I looked at Brad and I said, "We better go back to the truck." I said, "It's not going to be long. It's going to get dark. The only light we got is our cell phone." He said, "Well, we need to see if we can get some more evidence." I said, "Brad, take a look." I said, "Take a look." I said, "At what we've got surrounding us." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "We're in a V." I said, "It's steeper than a horse's face on the right hand side of that ridge, steeper than a horse's face on the left hand side. We are in a ambush zone. These creatures do not get out here and roam the woods by themselves just for the heck of it. We've done scene two. We're already surrounded. There's no telling what's hid watching us." I said, "We just might as well tip our hat and say thank you and go to the truck." I said, "Because if we don't," I said, "you know what's going to happen, don't you?" And he said, "What?" I said, 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, "They're going to find us on the back of a milk carton."
I love
And what
that
more
you said
evidence
that.
did he want? You already saw two of them.
Evidently, he wanted to get close enough to drag his camera out and get a picture. But when we seen all that, and it just blew my mind. Camera was the last thing on my mind. I was trying to figure out, okay, are we fixing to get got? Where's the rest of them? Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Because those were the first two I'd ever seen, and it
Yeah.
just boggled my mind. I mean, just scrambled it just like an egg sandwich, and I was plumb beside myself.
No, I think you see what you did was what I would do, which is, well, we all know that I may not even be out in the woods to begin with, so there's that. But
I was going to say, there's no way you're going 2 miles out of a civilization.
that is
Ever.
not true. I have been out of civilization, just I would make sure I had my flashlight. But I wouldn't, upon seeing those things, go, you know what is a great idea in their territory in a spot like this? Let's go try to chase them down. Especially because it's true. I don't know why anyone would think these are solitary creatures and there's just one of them waiting there to be like, "Hey, yeah, I'd love to pose for you. Do you like this side or this side?"
Yeah, I get in several arguments on Facebook with a few other people. I don't know why a lot of people think that these are huggy bears that you can just walk up to them, get a selfie. They'll invite you in for supper, give you a deer dinner, or go down to the creek and bring you a trout. These are wild animals and wild creatures, and you really and truly don't want to go into their territory, besmirching any of them, because I'm pretty well sure that's the reason why David Pilates, or however you pronounce his name, came up with missing 411.
No, and we got to go to a break in a second here. Well, a pretend break. But one of the things that, you said something that I thought was very true, and so did one of our travelers, is, there are people that currently get mauled by bears
Oh
and
yeah,
by bison and all kinds. Where humans got this idea that these wild creatures are waiting to take a selfie with you is insane to me. I'm like,
I
why?
have no idea where a logical, sane individual would think. I'm just going to use this for example. Rattlesnakes, bears, coyotes, buffalo, moose, sharks are huggy bears, and they are there to rock you to sleep and read you a bedtime story. In my opinion, people like that, like my grandma used to say, those people are touched in the head and they need mental help bad.
It's like we've gotten so far away from nature, I think, for a lot of people. Like they're so like internet or in their house that they don't even like understand what a bear could do.
Exactly. I mean, it's entirely two different worlds. I mean, it's like going, but you take a high crime town and you take a small town where there's no crime hardly at all. Which one are you going to feel the most safe in?
The small town, of course.
Okay, if you do something other stupid in a high crime town, well, what's basically going to happen?
Oh yeah, no, it's it's Rick just said. I was going to say the cleansing of the gene pool. That's what this does. Is like okay,
Exactly. I mean, that's just like coming from your own front yard and going out into the woods where these creatures are at 24/7, 365. That's their home. That's their gymnasium. The strength of these creatures are ungodly. They have their own rules. The least thing, you could upset them. You could, you don't know something that may not offend one person will offend these.
well,
Nobody has one, on hand where you can study and this, that, and the other. I'm sure the federal government does, but that's a whole different color. But as far as Johnny researcher out here, no, he don't. That's what we're all here for is try to figure out how they're natured, try to get close enough to them to get enough physical evidence to where somebody can look at that and go, it's not AI, it's not fake, it's not hoaxed, it's not a man in a suit. This is legit. That's all. That's all most of us is after now. You got a few idiots running around here. It's after fame and fortune. Heck with that. Money's money, and money will be here long after anybody's long gone. But knowledge remains forever.
yeah, and knowledge is power. But we're going to
Exactly.
pause for 2 seconds for our break, and we're back. See, do you see how quick that was? Quick and painless. Quick and painless. And Mark's not here to try to throw the music in and totally mess me up. But so, I think it's really interesting you said that because the other thing that always strikes me about even outside of Bigfoot, we talk about like Dogman and some of these other creatures, the white thing, like I could go down the list. None of these are creatures, whatever they are, right? Wild creatures that are solitary. Like
No,
that's the other thing that I think I don't, we say Bigfoot as if there's like one individual creature, but it's the one you see. Like that's nature wise, it's the one you see. Because
exactly.
you talked about seeing too a juvenile, right? And I've heard of others talk about juvenile. First of all, a mother animal of any kind, including a human animal, if you attack their young, you're going to see a whole different thing. But then you get the male accompaniment to that, and the tribe of them are going to have very little, right, to say on you know what I mean? Like it's going to be unfortunate for you if you encounter a pissed off Bigfoot, right? Because it's
Yeah.
not going to be one; it's going to be a whole bunch of them.
Well, it's just like this one old guy said something about putting one down and bringing it out of the woods. Well, there's a whole lot against that, and a whole lot wrong with that. Number one, in my opinion, I don't think it needs to be done in the first place. But let's just say somebody did pull that stunt. A, you're not going to live to get it back to the truck. The rest of the tribe is going to take you out. B, if you got lucky and got it back to the truck, the very minute the game warden catches wind of that, no matter what state you're in, you're going to vanish for a pretty good while. If you don't vanish for a pretty good while, federal government's going to step in and make for sure that your life is made a pure living hell.
Yeah, or they're going to make you disappear too in a completely different way.
And they will ruin your life. There was a lady in Florida. She kept reporting to the game wardens that there was something other coming in her backyard. Well, they told her it was a bear. She said, "No, this is not no bear." Well, to make a long story short, they wouldn't believe her, and it came after her little girl one night when she came in from work. It chased her little girl through the backyard. Well, she shot it with a .357 Magnum and killed it.
Ooh.
Well, she called the game warden and told them what it was. When they got up there, she was arrested. Her little girl was taken into custody. She never got to see her little girl again. A 12-foot bed F-250 pickup truck pulled up in the yard. 8 game wardens picked that creature up, put it in an enclosed pickup truck. Another team came in and cleaned up. It was like they had vacuumed the yard and done a whole complete cleanup to where you could not even tell anything was there. And it wasn't long after that, county sold her house. Neighbors never did know what happened to her or where she went.
Wow. Well,
and that happened in 2014.
That is a lesson there for you on that. Folks, just in case you're wondering, it's a terrible idea. I've said that this entire time. If you want to study things, great. But one, be smart about it. Be with a team. Do not go by yourself and do this.
No, you do not want to go out in the woods by yourself researching any cryptid whatsoever. It's not smart, because there's a lot of places that you do wind up in. You're in cell phone hell. There's no signal. If something other goes haywire, you get snake bit, you get jumped on by coyotes, or get, mauled by a bear, or, depending on your location, and, they might be a homeless people living in the woods. It's on, on dope or something like that. You have no help. Nobody knows you're there. And by the time somebody realizes, well, Johnny hadn't come home yet, groundhogs might be bringing Johnny his mail because he could be dead.
No,
I love that.
I love that, and I agree. Okay.
I mean, it's very easy to get lost in the woods. One day I was like, I walked in a straight line out behind my parents' property, which is wooded. And I was like, I'll just turn around and walk back. And it was not a straight line back anymore, because people don't walk in a straight line. I ended up way far from where I thought I was.
It's easy done, especially if you're not real familiar with being in the woods, or the location of where you're at. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people out there in the woods. I mean, I'm not saying no harming nobody, but when you're in the woods, you need to pay close attention on your surroundings, what's going on, weather conditions, and understand where you're at all times, and know just exactly what distance you are back from your campsite or back from your vehicle, to where if something other does go haywire and south, you always have an escape route.
You know, it's funny because the National Park Service always says the goal is not to get to where you want to camp. The goal is to get back to your car.
Oh yeah.
You know, I agree. One of our travelers asked, "What did the Bigfoot that you saw look like?" The North Carolina one.
The juvenile or the other one, the one that was with
Both,
it.
both. One more on the descriptor because they're asking. So
As far as facial features goes, I could not tell you because it was a little bit too far out. Only thing I can tell you, the juvenile was light blonde in color. The one that was with it, I don't know if it was its mama, its grandpa, its daddy, its uncle. I have no idea what it was. I don't know even if it's male or female. Was light brown in color, and the only thing I could see from the waist up, it was just shaggy hair covered from top of their head to the end of their toes.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Well, hopefully, traveler, that answers your question. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit because you talked about ghosts. So I want to talk a little bit about your paranormal experiences outside of being cursed by a witch, which just you've like leveled up so high just saying that alone. But because
Well, I mean, it wasn't fun at the time. I mean, I don't care one bit in the world to admit it because, like my grandma used to say, she got what was coming to her, and she doesn't bother me anymore.
that is good, and I'm sure at the time it was terrible, and I'm not making any light of that because
Oh, I understand.
yeah, enough intention, but then you started hunting ghosts. So, what was your first ghost experience or that kind of thing?
Well, growing up, about any kid's going to believe in ghosts and first one thing and the other until they actually see one. And the first one that I ever saw, I was 16-year old and I had no clue about ghost hunting or anything else for that matter. And after, the witch incident and everything, I thought, how am I going to go about this? I thought, well, there's EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. Got studying on the electromagnetic fields and got to putting two and two together, and it just started clicking. It's like it's all natural. It just, everything just went to clicking in place. And I was like, well, cool, I can do this. And I don't go into anything right off the bat to see if a place is haunted. Prime example: we had a lady back in 2021. No, pardon me, 2020. She contacted me. She is all to pieces. Said her house was haunted. Well, when I got up there, bless her heart, to make a long story short, her nerves was shot. She is vibrating so bad she could have threaded a sewing machine while it was running.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have never seen anybody whose nerves were that shot. Well, I started to drag out some more equipment out of my van, and it was like a little voice told me, said, just get your EMF detector. That's all you're going to need. Don't even get the video camera out. So I'm standing there scratching my head going, what? All of a sudden, the voice said, do as I tell you, just get your EMF meter out. Don't drag no other equipment out. This is not what you think. So I'm sitting there going, okay, I'll go along with it. Come to find it out, the house was built in 1971 before code was enforced. And basically, she had a complete teetotal fear cage. EMF levels were off the charts. I mean, they were in the red zone. You cannot take an EMF detector or a K2 meter and make them read what you want them to. If they pick up on a high electromagnetic field, whatever that device says it is, that's exactly what it is. like I said, to make a long story short, this lady was so allergic to electromagnetic field, you could walk within 7 feet of her panel box, and you could stand there and watch her hair stand up on your arm. So I'm
Oh,
sitting there going, this is not right. Every room in the house was completely teetotally off the chart. She thought she was going nuts. She was on psych meds, heart meds, you name it. She had a complete Walgreens in her pocketbook. No joke.
I believe it.
Well, after I went through there and showed her, well, her husband thought she was cuckoo, and her husband thought I was a little dab off my rocker. And I said, "No, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute." I said, "Did you build this house?" He said, "No." He said, "I bought it." He said, "Several years ago." He said, "She's been putting up with this ever since." I said, "Well, let me ask you a question." I said, "Where are y'all from?" She said, "Florida." I said, "How old is your house in Florida?" She said, "It's 6 years old. We built it brand new." I said, "Well, how do you react in your home in Florida?" She said, "Fine." She said, "Nothing going on." Turned around and I looked at her husband. And I said, "You better get your electrician up here and get him up here quick." I said, "When you get an electrician up here, get him to rewire some things, let him check it out. If she's still having problems, call me." And I said, "I'll be more than happy to come back up here." Well, I think it was about a month later, this lady sends me a text message. If you was to write it out on paper, I guess it was 6 foot long.
Oh my gosh.
She was basically hugging my neck, thanking me that I saved her life. The electrician came up there and he got to looking, and after he done his inspection, he looked at her husband and said, "Well, I know you was making fun and you said you had a ghost hunter to come up here. I don't know what he had in his hand, but he is exactly right. You better be glad you got me up here because this house could have burnt down in the middle of the night and you in it. All the wiring was paper wiring. Nothing in the house was grounded correctly. EMF levels was completely teetotally off the charts. He calmed all that down. She went back to the doctor. He took her off of 99% of her meds."
Oh, that's such a great story, but it also leads to hello, everyone, science. Like,
Exactly. That's the reason why like say for instance, somebody tells us their house is haunted, we'll check for electrical problems. We'll check for structural problems, coons or bats in the attic. We'll even look for fault lines. We had this one lady. She at first she thought she had termites in her house. Well, at the time I was working for Terminex pest exterminators, and we beat that house to death. We couldn't find no critters. We couldn't find no varmints. We couldn't find no termites. Everything that, Terminex treats, we couldn't find anything. Well, she wakes up one morning and decides her house is haunted.
oh, okay.
And I looked at her sort of funny and I said, "Ma'am, how old's your house?" She said, 12-year-old. "What's your house sitting on?" She said, "A big old rock." I went to Granny and I said, "What's your foundation made out of?" She said, "Cinder blocks." I said, "Okay." I said, "You do have sheetrock walls, right?" She said, "Yes." "Well, what difference does that make?" I said, "Are they nailed in or screwed in?" "What difference does it?" I said, "Answer the question, honey. Are they screwed in or are they nailed in?" I said, "There's a big difference." "They're screwed in. Why?" I said, "I'll tell you what to do." I said, "Go to the courthouse, get somebody to point you in the right direction to get a geological survey." I said, "I will lay $1 down against a donut. You're sitting on a fault line." Lo and behold, that's what she is sitting on. And every time that fault line moved, that vibrations come up through that big rock, went through the cinder block walls, through the 2x4s, and guess where the weakest point's at? sheetrock. When you screw sheetrock down, it makes it just exactly like a drum head. It'll vibrate and sound just like somebody's walking through the house. Nobody had been killed in the house. Nobody had been killed on the property. Nothing devastating or anything else had ever happened on that property. After she found out that we couldn't find no varmints in the house as far as, carpenter ants, termites, and whatnot, she just come to the conclusion her house was haunted. No, she was sitting on a fault line.
I love that the conclusion went from varmints to ghosts. Because normally I feel like it goes the other direction where people are like, I think it's haunted. And then you go, no, you have termites.
Exactly. I mean, everything is not exactly what you'd say black and white on every investigation that you go to. You may have a routine of what you might do on a paranormal investigation. You might go in. We look at ghost hunting and cryptid investigations about like deer hunting. You may go deer hunting and sit there for 6 days and never see nothing. You may go back the following day, deer's covering you up. With paranormal investigations and cryptid investigations, it works the same way. You never know what's going to work, and you never know if you're going to be in the right place at the right time. They have their own deal, and they work off their own clock, and they don't give a flip if you're there or not.
No, it's true. It's these things are not on command.
No,
and if they're ever on command, then they're not really what you think they are.
No, it's like some of these haunted ghost tours, and first one thing another where they advertise, oh, we guarantee you're going to see a ghost tonight for $25 on a hour and 45-minute walk. No, you're not. I'm sorry.
A quotation mark ghost, whatever they've got banging on the walls, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we've got only a few minutes left, but I'm curious, what was your scariest investigation that you've done?
That was going to be my question too.
Yeah, you both think the same. We want to go scary. What was your scariest investigation? He's thinking. That's what's happening. Not watching.
Well, to be quite honest, I've not had anything, that really and truly was considered scary, except for, it wasn't, extremely terrifying. I mean, it was a little bit unnerving, a little bit unsettling. I own my own graveyard.
Okay, and, wait, pause. We got to go back. Did you just say you own your own graveyard?
Yes, ma'am. I most certainly do.
Is this like a family graveyard, or you bought a graveyard?
It's a family graveyard.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the deed to it over here in the drawer of my cabinet.
Okay.
But in that graveyard, I've got an ancestor of mine that there was a book written about him. You can find it on Amazon. The book is called Hanged by a Dream. I can't remember who the author was that wrote it, but it's a very interesting book, and I have him buried in my graveyard. He killed his wife back in the 1800s. Well, for some odd reason or another, it was about 5 years ago. My wife gets this wild hair about 11 o'clock at night. She said, let's take your spirit box and let's go up to Stephen's grave and see if he can talk to us and find out why he killed his wife.
Okay, nothing else going on. I enjoy your wife's entertaining Saturday night. Let's go summon a ghost. Let's do it.
I said, let's go talk to old cousin Steve and see what's going on. Well, on a spirit box, it's frequencies are run, in a rapid pace, through white noise. Okay, the words that comes through, theory is the actual ghost trying to communicate with you. So we set the spirit box down on top of his tombstone.
Okay.
Well, like a dummy, here's what I did stupid. I forgot to bring the EVP recorder,
Oh,
which if you get a wild hire, make sure that's the one thing that you bring.
that and a flashlight. And throw that out there.
Yep.
Continue on. Yes.
Well, I'm standing there asking him questions. All of a sudden, we get to hearing screaming coming through that spirit box. Go
Oh.
away,
Ooh.
leave, death, hanged, and jailed.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, the wind starts picking up. There was no wind, period. And it was a moonlit night, not a cloud in the sky, quarter moon. I'm standing there grinning, and my wife's sitting there thinking, "Is he actually talking to us?" And I said, "I believe he is." I said, "Because the words that's coming through," I said, "coincides along with the questions that we asked of, were you hanged? How did you die?" And yada yada yada. Well, all of a sudden, we get to hearing somebody crying, like their heart was broken, shattered, and it was a female voice. And
Oh.
I asked Steve, I said, "Is that your wife, Peggy?" Spirit box went quiet. The
Ooh.
crying continued for another minute and a half. Then it went away. Where the graveyard's at, there is no former house places where people used to live. There was, it's back up on this ridge about almost a mile away from the main highway. Closest neighbor to the graveyard is 1,100 yards down the hill, and at 11 o'clock at night, neighbor's in bed asleep.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, when we shut everything down and started the spirit box back over, I mean, it was like demonic screaming coming through. Leave, go now, go away, I hate you, and everything else. And I stood there, man. Now, I could feel the hair standing up on the back of my neck.
I'm
My
feeling that right now, and I'm not even there. So
my, my wife looks at me and she said, "What are you going to do?" And I looked at him. I said, "Make me leave." I said, "I will be back." I said, "I am going to where your wife's buried, which is in the other county at a different graveyard." I said, "I'll see what she has to say about you, old boy." And I mean, it was just exactly everything. The wind stopped. Everything went just as deathly quiet as it could possibly be. I turned around and looked at her and I said, "Well," I said, "I think we've made him mad." I said, "I think it's time to go." And we just politely walked out of the graveyard and came back to the house.
Wow. Well, we're gonna put a link to this book because I clickety clacked it. It is by Perry Dean Young. Hang by a
Right.
Dream, Facts Behind the
Hang
Legend.
by.
So we'll throw that in the show notes so that if anybody's interested, they can read that story. But
Oh, it's a wonderful book. I've got it in my library somewhere. I think I bought it 2 years ago. Now, with any book, there are going to be just a few inconsistencies in it, but it's not fiction. It actually happened.
wow. And I noticed George popped in here. George, why didn't you just say moonshine? Like where is that? Where are you going with that? Is that like code for Rob? Will Rob know what that means? Oh, I love it. I love it.
Sad part about it is I do not have moonshine in that tonight. I wished I did.
Do you make your own moonshine?
Do I make my own?
Yeah.
I'm gonna plead the Fifth Amendment.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. See, one of my favorite tales, I know we got to wrap it up here, but one of my favorite tales up here in North Carolina is about the boo jump and the gems and the moonshine and all that. I'm like 100% on board with legally getting moonshine, from legal places. Blink, blink, blink.
Well, I'm going to give a pop up real quick on where you can find some authentic moonshine. Now, granted, it's store bought, but I went to school with this old boy, and I went to school with his wife.
Oh.
And he's been making shine since he was 14-years old. If you're ever in McDowell County, swing by Copper Creek Distillery and go in there and buy a quart jar off of Randy and Shirlene Berry.
Copper Creek Distillery. Bo, clickety clack all of that. I'm going to go stop by there because
is some of the best moon. Trust me, you drink his, you will throw rocks at the Old Smoky in Gatlinburg.
Oh, the only thing that Old Smoky is good for is they put a lot of sugar in theirs, so you can't even taste the moonshine. I like good moonshine that's done well. What?
Old Smoky, in my opinion, is a high grade of vodka.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I possibly had I'm not going to reveal names, but I have a friend that used to make some of the best apple moonshine and strawberry moonshine, like separate ever. And it was true moonshine. And I absolutely loved it because.
Do you like the flavor cinnamon?
Oh, I love cinnamon.
I'll tell you what, next time you're in Gatlinburg, go to Sugarland's Distillery, get Tickles Hot Cinnamon Moonshine. You will not regret it.
Well, conveniently, I have to go over to Gatlinburg with my lovely friend Mark to take some pictures. So Bo is clackety clacking that as we speak, and I'm going to be able to go get it. I appreciate it, Rob. And then next time we meet up, we'll have to have a drink. It sounds like we're on the same page when it comes to that.
So, absolutely. You guys are more than welcome to be on NCI Podcast at any given time.
Oh,
you have open invitation anytime you want it. Just let us know, and we'd be honored to have you on there.
Oh, well, we'll love that. I just got to get my co-host internet fixed, but you guys are welcome on our show anytime. You guys are all amazing, and we're hoping at some point to go do a Bigfoot hunt with you guys. I'm going to do it, and Mark's going to just not participate because he doesn't go walking in the Bigfoot. But if I'm with you guys, I feel very comfortable. I'm like, I'm in a good place because you're approaching it the right way. So,
Erica, will you remember your flashlight though?
I'm going to.
She's going to have like 6.
We don't investigate at night unless we have to.
Yeah, no, I'd prefer to go during the day. And regardless, I'd still bring my flashlight, my emergency blanket. I have a whole pack. There are ways you go about doing this, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people have their own way of doing things. It's just, the main thing with any investigation, whether you're doing paranormal or whether you're doing cryptid investigations, be smart. Let somebody know your whereabouts at all times. It's not, people trying to, keep track of you or anything of the sort or trying to control you. You never know what you're going to run into. It's more or less safety, and this is not something other that's just for the heck of it. Every bit of this is serious. There's a lot of information, to obtain, a lot of knowledge to be gained, and it's not all fun and games. I mean, whether it's ghost hunting or whether it's cryptid investigations, it's serious. I mean, we take everything we do dead serious, and if we see something other that where somebody might get hurt or see an area that we're not sure of, yeah, it's best to do a recon of it before you even go in there. Even because you never know. I mean, anything's possible. Anything, and I don't want to see none of my team get hurt. I don't want to see none of your team get hurt or anybody else out there that's, trying their hand at it or has actual. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, period.
No, I agree. And that's how I approach it too. Hence the reason I would even agree to go, because that's, my whole philosophy is I also know that we could go out there and see absolutely nothing. We could go 10 times and see absolutely
Oh yeah, I mean, you're not going to wind up with evidence every time you go in the woods or every time you step into a house or a building or a graveyard or anything else of that nature. It's it's basically the luck of the draw and being in the right place at the right time.
No, I agree 100%. And I hate to say we have to go, but we have to go. So, Rob, will you tell people, sort of shameless self promotion, where they can find you guys? I know you've mentioned it several times, but where's the best place to find you and your group?
Well, we're on Facebook right now on North Carolina Investigates. That's our fan page. Our podcast right now, StreamYard, Rumble, YouTube, and the ones that our other producer Eric had going for us. I think we were on Spotify, Apple Play, and I think he was trying to get iHeartRadio to pick us up.
Very, very cool. And we'll put the links and everything in our podcast notes so that everybody can find you, and we'll share them on the social medias. It has been so wonderful having you. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, I sure do appreciate you having me on here. I've had a blast. I've been honored. You ladies have been great. Couldn't ask for no better. Heck, you guys feel like sisters that I never had.
Oh, I love that. I love the ever expanding
Thank
family.
you, Rob.
That's amazing. You have been amazing. And so with that, travelers, what I'm going to say, because Mark's not here, Bo, prepared. I'm ready for it.
I have been waiting this whole time for you to pull this off, Erica.
I'm going
Let's
to
see if you can
attempt
do
to
it.
pull off my mark right now, which is this.
Okay, do it.
First of all, check out North Carolina Investigates. That entire crew, I've been very lucky to meet several of them. They are like family. Absolutely, absolutely check them out. And they have the right way to do things. So if you do need help, this is one of those groups you can reach out to, regardless, as Rob has said, of the issue. They will guide you in the right direction and help you out if they can. But with that said, travelers, do not forget to try to not piss off witches, because being cursed is not fun. Also, those things that go bump in the night are not always ghosts. They might be, but let's eliminate the things that they probably aren't before you go that way. And last but not least, when you forgot your flashlight and you're stuck in the middle of the woods, regardless of the cool Bigfoot you see, the answer is not, get 'em, Ray. And with that, we will see you on the other side.